Cheers
from
the Lost Blokes.
Rusted.
You know what that means?
What?
The tin roof rusted?
No, what does it mean?
Okay, so they used to refer to IUDs as tin roofs.
Oh.
And when it fails, it's rusted. So they say tin roof rusted, that means that the IUD failed.
So the Love Shack, they're having an orgy in the shack, and the tin roof rusted.
Yeah. The tin roof
and this was in the 80s. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So that means that the lady was going to get pregnant.
I'm Dan Carlson, 1/4 of the Lost Blokes. I am drinking Sprite.
Yay.
And I am an ordained minister, a professor of comedy, and co-host of this show. So,
yep. Hi,
Dave?
I'm Dave Nesbitt, and I am currently drinking a whiskey and ginger beer. I am an ordained Dudeist priest, because I just love using that particular piece of terminology.
Yes.
An expert on particularly squishy realities, or making reality squishy through various and sundry means. I review films with my dear friends in the Lost Blokes when we are not too busy, saving the universe and shit.
I'm just hands and a head. I was able to keep one set of limbs and my head.
Well, just don't lose your head.
No.
I am the Bad Cat, 25% of the Lost Blokes. I am what am I? I don't know what I am.
An ordained Dudeist priest.
I am an ordained Dudeist priest. I'm a pun husky, a magpie, because I love shiny things. I'm a super villain, but I use my super villain powers for good. I don't use them for speaking eloquently, though, at least not when under severe pressure after falling from a moderate height.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Please.
Do it.
Like
now.
Yeah.
Or my head will float into your bedroom at night.
Okay.
Hi, do you want me to come to your house and punch you right in the throat? Like, comment, and subscribe.
Wait, is that if they want you to, or if they don't want you to?
Leave it open. See what happens.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hey, some of them want to abuse you, and some of them want to be abused.
Yeah. Just open up the door. Oh, wow, you're Dave. Yep. Bam. Throat punch. Take it easy.
I can bring my whip, and I can bring my floggers, and I can bring my violet wand.
Come on.
Everything's fine.
We watched this week was The Adventures of BUCKAROO, BANZAI, and Adventures in the Eighth Dimension. Basically, it's about a gentleman by the name of BUCKAROO BANZAI, who happens to be a brain surgeon and also a particle physicist and a rock star. Yeah, and a rock star and a part-time samurai, but a full-time adventurer. And he's got a bunch of friends that he calls the Hong Kong Cavaliers, and they go out on tour and have adventures together with people like Reno and Rawhide. And Rawhide is awesome because he's played by Clancy Brown, because Clancy Brown is always awesome. And then they add another member of the group who's now named New Jersey, and New Jersey is played by Jeff Goldblum, who is also awesome. Anyway, they are trying to foil the plans of Dr. Emilio Lizardo, who was the mentor of Dr. BUCKAROO BANZAI's mentor. And he traveled into the eighth dimension and then came back possessed by an alien. And so sometimes you can see Emilio Lizardo, and then sometimes you can see John Warfin, leader of the Red Lectroids. Bad people. And so now that he is back and trying to basically take over the world and then use it to get even with the people who banished him into the eighth dimension, the Black Electroids from Planet 10 are now going to come down and destroy the world unless Buckaroo Banzai manages to find and destroy John Worfen. This film is just freaking amazing. So many different genres decide to sit down and have weird, hot, passionate, kinky
sex together in such an intriguing way, and I love it to death. How's that?
You still have more time left.
Oh, cool.
So much time. I would just like to point out that you missed a certain member, Perfect Tommy. Like, I know there's
Perfect Tommy's awesome.
increased, but how could you forget Perfect Tommy?
Yeah,
He's perfect.
you get lines like, "Wait, I think you should open the door." Why should I open the door? Because I'm perfect. I mean, though, this is a film chock full of some of the best.
Why do I have to give her my jacket?
Yeah. And it's just chock full of some of the best one-liners, some of the best written, kind of like entertaining dialogue. Also, this is a film that drops you right into the middle of its weird, twisted little reality and lets you figure it out, which I am a huge fan of.
In the writer's room, they said yes to everything and no to nothing.
Yes.
And someone said, well, Dr. Lizardo should drive the ship with his feet. And everyone said, yep.
Yes.
I think the good aliens should look and sound like Jamaicans. Yes. Exactly.
I told Dave I felt like this was like somebody discovered some kid's really wacky Mad Lib that he was doing with his family on vacation, and just filmed it like it was a screenplay.
And also, anyone else also get Axe Cop vibes out of this a little bit? Like, I've never Axe Cop.
Axe Cop.
No, Axe. Axe. Jesus, man, this is okay.
Wait a minute. Axe Cop sounds like a movie we should review.
Okay, so
you're
cutting all of that out. Cutting all of that out.
Okay.
No, keeping all of it in.
This is the writer's room for Buckaroo Banzai. We don't cut out anything.
You don't cut out anything. You say yes. You say yes and then you make out with it a little bit. So Axe Cop is a webcomic made by two brothers. One of them was 5 years old when the series began. And the older brother, I think he was in his late 20s, drew the series, and this later became a cartoon as well, like a syndicated cartoon. And all of the story ideas come from the 5-year-old. And so, like, everything in it is just kind of surreal unless you're 5, and it makes total perfect sense. He's Axe's Cop, duh.
Dave,
I love that there's a Buckaroo Banzai video game in the back of the psychiatric institution.
He's got a comic book. He's got a video game.
There is a comic book that makes an appearance in the movie.
Yep. It's Buckaroo Banzai, the latest issue.
Exactly.
And did you all notice that it was issue number 1?
The latest issue is issue number 1.
I mean, to be fair, it was so true when they said it.
To me, I think this is one of those all-time great sort of. It's the sort of film that can only happen, I think, in the 80s or perhaps now. Mostly because in the 80s, everybody was hopped up on coke, and somebody could walk in at the right time and go, "I have a crazy idea," and they'd go throw money at it. And then at the same time, I think that it's a kind of a loving homage to a lot of the old cliffhanger serials of the 30s and 40s. You get a good feel for a lot of like Doc Savage elements and things like that going on in there. And I love the fact that they just kind of created a world where there is this person who exists that everybody knows about, who does all of this strange, mad, crazy shit, and nobody blinks an eye at it. And so you just kind of jump right into the world. Also, let's take a moment to just discuss the miracle of casting in this film, because they caught all of the actors at just the right time, because you've got John Lithgow, Jeff Goldblum, Peter Weller, Christopher Lloyd, Clancy Brown, Dan Hedaya. I mean, you just, Ellen Barkin. I mean, all of these incredible, some of whom are now major A-list actors and all of whom are just consistently working. And all of them are in this film, and just, you can tell they're having the time of their life. There's an interview, we'll probably put it in the show notes, with at New York Film Festival a few years ago. They showed Buckaroo Banzai. They invited Peter Weller and John Lithgow, and the thing is being moderated by Kevin Smith. And hearing Lithgow and Peter Weller tell stories about how, at one point in time, like they're doing the interrogation scene that we were talking about off camera. And in the background, Dan Hedaya.
I don't care what you do in your personal life.
Yep. But Christopher Lloyd is sitting in the background, eating Doritos while they're electrocuting Buckaroo Banzai. They said it took 50 takes for them to actually finish that scene because, like, Peter Weller just kept cracking up and couldn't keep a straight face.
John, while you're floating around in the other dimension there, any insight into this movie when you're watching it?
I think this is the first time I made it through the entire movie all at once. I've watched it probably 8 or so times, or I've seen it on at 8 or so times, but never paid attention enough to it to know what was going on in it, other than just the quotes and whatnot that were always thrown around. And but I couldn't wrap my head around it, so I really never paid enough attention to know what was happening. I watched it all the way through, and I still really have no idea what was happening.
That may
it's just
that may
so
be a pretty universal experience.
If you watch this film, if you watch this film and you are not confused most of the time, you're not watching the film, but that's half the fun of it.
Yeah.
I think so. This is going to sound stupid. I think I mentioned it to Dave, but the funniest thing to me was when I think is he named Lizardo?
Yes.
He's going to the Buckaroo Banzai's hangout to Banzai, hangout to
Told ya!
So my favorite, the thing that made me laugh the loudest was when that guy was delivering something in a pink box, and you just hear off screen a guy go, "Hey man, nice jacket. What's in the big pink box?"
Yeah,
because it shouldn't be funny, but it's like the funniest thing to come out of nowhere.
Also, we have to mention
I don't even know that I remember that line.
Yeah. There's just so many weird moments, like the watermelon in the hydraulic press. What's that thing there?
Never tells us. Why is it there? He never tells us why. He's saying tell me later.
I'll tell you later.
What I love about this film is the world building that went into it. Like, of course, there would be a watermelon in a hydraulic vise because this is the way this world fucking works.
I wonder if that was even in the script, or if the production designer was really just like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff would I find in a mad scientist lair?
And then Jeff Goldblum just kind of noticed it as he's walking through the room and said, "Why is there a watermelon there?" And they kept it in.
A watermelon?
That in? Yes.
Or also just like the random moment they're going through searching for the red lectroids who are hanging out in their base. And there just happens to be one filing cabinet with a cabinet on fire for no reason. And the guy's just like...
He closes the door, he closes the cabinet, and the fire's still going on inside.
Yeah.
Another thing that I really loved is that all the bad guys were given their names on the same day. They all went to the Social Security offices. John. But then they picked out their last names. There's like John Big Booty, John Smallberries,
John Yaya.
Oh, you already said Smallberries.
Yeah, that was my favorite, John Smallberries.
All right,
and then there's
I'm
like
reporting you, John, such and such, John Smallberries. Nothing
and then there's
here.
What was it? John Many something?
Yeah. John Many Jars.
John Many Jars.
And unfortunately, the film did not do particularly well because I actually forwarded a link to a t-shirt. Sorry.
I'm just going to say I could have predicted that it was not going to do well.
It's definitely nerd sort of things, but for the longest, it built up one of the biggest cult followings I've seen amongst fandoms. And what's in it, Ma? Yeah.
Why are you there to do that now when it's super easy to just swipe it and like, wait, what just happened? It's my mic doing weird shit again.
Yeah, we could barely hear you.
Yeah.
But I think with the amazing casting in this film, and also the idea that they created such an insane and crazy world, and I think that to me is part of the reason why it is that it's become such a cult classic, is that it doesn't insult the audience by saying, we're going to spoon feed you every last piece of how this world works. You get to figure out for yourself.
Isn't it strange that Jeff Goldblum always seems to find the perfect Jeff Goldblum parts?
Yeah. Also,
I'm fine with that. I love Jeff for his Jeff Goldbluminess.
Yes.
And also think about this one. I was listening to an interview with Peter Weller, and they were talking about Buckaroo Banzai, and he said, yeah, he and Goldblum had known each other for years, and the two of them had been a jazz duo because Peter Weller plays jazz trumpet and Jeff Goldblum plays jazz piano.
Right.
So before both of their careers broke, you could rent them to play your house party. So imagine, if you will, Peter Weller and Jeff Goldblum hanging out, just playing jazz. Like, that's like the coolest shit I've ever heard in my life. I'd like to invite them to do that now, but I don't have the pocket change for it. But God damn it, the moment I do.
I think we should just put out the call and ask them to come on the show. So I don't know how to transition to this without, because it's such it's a silly movie, but the last section of it, did anybody get any strong Nazi propaganda vibes over the PA system there?
I mean, Italian fascist, but yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's definitely going full Mussolini on that shit.
You think so? I thought. Well, there was a lot
they're interrelated. Yeah, Nazis and Mussolini.
But there was a lot of work. There was a lot of work is your friend kind of stuff going on with what he was saying.
I mean, I'd argue Hitler. Work is your friend is pretty American.
Oh, that's
work ethic.
True. Right. Yeah.
You could also go Soviet Union back in the days where you have films about your tractor.
The red lectroids really need to read a book called "Laziness Does Not Exist."
Oh, that sounds like heaven.
I think it would be a real eye opener for their culture, and maybe they'll stop this nonsense with the black lectroids. And everyone can just chill and do as the Judas priest does and abide.
Abide.
I'm having way too much fun with that.
Abide.
That's what happens when John plays with the green screen. And the last line of this movie is "Big deal, so what?"
Yeah.
after the.
God, this really is one of those movies. Like, while you're watching it, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm not going to pretend like I'm super cool and chill. And this whole movie, I was just like, yeah, man. A lot of the time, I got distracted. A lot of the time, to be fair, I wasn't feeling so hot when I tried to watch it the first time a couple weeks ago. But after you're done with it, I feel like you're ready to have fun thinking about it and talking about it.
Yes.
And for me anyway, I think it's more fun to talk about the idea of it, talk about the world of it, talk about all the little quirks and oddities about each and every character. Mm-hmm. I have more fun doing that than watching the actual movie.
I think it's more fun the second
Maybe
time.
It would be more fun to watch in a group.
I think it probably would be, but it's also more fun to watch the second time. Because the first time you're just like, what the hell am I looking at? The second time you're like, wait a minute, I can't believe they made that joke. There's all sorts of little background jokes that you don't even hear the first time.
I'm going to go so far as to say this is Mythos approved.
I was wondering.
Impending cosmic doom, the irregular blue blazers are like regular normal people, including this kid.
Yeah.
And
pointing an M14 at the Secretary of Defense.
I love that kid.
That kid was awesome.
He's got perfect Tommy's job now.
And he got the $20 without giving up his gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so you
Good
have
thinking, kid. Don't give in to the man.
So you have normal everyday people getting involved in preventing cosmic doom.
Traveling to other dimensions, and just overall, I mean, it's not a scary type of Mythos story, but I think it's definitely Mythos approved.
Is definitely, I would say it's definitely Squishy approved, because let's face it, this is a decidedly alternate universe where you've got people who are brain surgeon, physicist, rock star, adventurer, samurai,
the ultimate polymaths.
Yeah. Hanging out with all of his buddies who are also brain surgeons and engineers and physicists, all doing their best to break reality. Plus, they have
a cowboy in Jeff Goldblum's cave.
Yeah, and then they also have, like a fan club that is pretty much also his bodyguards, and then they have the subset of his fan club who will do things like, "Hey, I have a helicopter. Let's rescue Buckaroo." I love this.
This feels like a bunch of guys who got together and made a monster squad, but instead of monsters, they were like, "Well, I'm going to be a doctor, and you be a this."
Yeah,
and then they grew up and they never got rid of the club. Kat, is this super villain approved?
I was going to say, can I do that now? Can I?
Yeah.
Is it?
You can do it.
Is it super villainous?
Yeah, yes. You don't have to commit to that one thing if you don't want to. I just thought it was a fun thing to mention. If you want to commit,
no, that's not a bad idea. As far as super villainy approved, in my definition of super villainy, I would say yes, because you've got a whole bunch of people who are honestly like even Perfect Tommy. They all have so many skills and talents and like fame and fortune things hovering around their lives. But they're all pretty chill and they're all pretty like down to earth, friendly guys. They want to help out. They want to, meet their highest potential and do what they can to improve the world around them for the people who exist in that world. And that is very super villainous.
Yes.
Because what does the stupid U.S. government want to do in this movie? They want to blow up the USSR.
Right.
Yes. Well, we have Declaration of War, the short form.
Yeah.
And Yakov Smirnov.
And he's so excited too. Like he's like, no, we can't do it. Oh yes, finally! I've been waiting. I've been hoping that this would come in my term.
Well, there was a little bit of a hesitation there with the general. He's like, "Is anybody else as scared as I am? Because I'm about to lose my fudge." Another thing that Kat and Dave probably want to touch on is that Buckaroo is the quintessential Marty Stew.
Oh yes, he is absolutely,
but not in a bad way.
Like
right. You would think that this is the sort of character that I would just be like, no, but I love him. I love Buckaroo, and it's because he's so chill about everything, and like. Not everybody falls in love with him. Everybody thinks he's a pretty cool guy, but like he is. So
yeah.
And he's not constantly in danger of having to be saved. Like there's not a whole lot of drama being started up for drama's sake, other than the world being in danger.
He has fans, dedicated fans, but they don't fawn over him.
Yeah. They think he's a really cool guy, and
he is the person
want to have a fun time being fan kids about it.
You sit there and think he's the captain of the ship, but that's because he's the most qualified, and he's really cool about it. He's not like ordering people around because, hey, look how awesome I am. No, everybody goes, no, that makes sense. Do the thing. It works.
John has something. John's got something.
I see that.
And
I'm so glad that we cut to him.
Dave,
too much pressure.
Do all the characters do not all the characters seem like OP GURPS characters?
Oh yeah.
I don't know what that is, but
I don't know what that is either.
GURPS is a game. GURPS is a role-playing system where it was one of the first ones where instead of rolling something up, you had a certain number of points and you had to spend them. And also to build up your skills, you could do things like buy disadvantages and things along those lines.
Okay.
He feels, and so that way you could custom craft a character that would fit whatever it is that you wanted. And to me, I think that the coolest part is that it feels like everybody in this film walked into wardrobe and went, make that suit fit me.
Yeah.
Everybody in here feels like they crafted the character for themselves to fit. Like one of my favorite characters in there has like one line. He's in it for 15 seconds, but yeah.
What does he say?
Pinky Crothers, blue blazer regular. Yeah, everybody needs to see Buckaroo, buddy. What? Yeah, but he's perfect. He fits that mold. He's awesome.
Buckaroo he is a Marty Stew in all the best ways, but he does have the tragic backstory, but it's it's barely touched on. We get the idea that the girl, the Ellen Barkin character, Penny Pretty, is a twin of, or looks exactly like his ex-girlfriend or wife who has passed.
They were married.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. His wife, and he just mentions it once, and he goes, "And that's done." And they just go on. They just mention it like it's a plot.
Yeah.
Like it's actually
like,
well, you
look,
got to have that in there. It's not anything that's delved into it in any way.
Yeah, none of it. That had absolutely no bearing on the story whatsoever.
Except that it does indicate why he would be so immediately drawn to her.
There's a moment when Buckaroo walks in with Penny, and the lady at the front desk jumps forward and shouts, "Oh wow, Peggy!"
Yeah.
Penny. When she was in the club and he called her Peggy on stage, and she's just like crying into the table. Yeah. It's Penny.
No one knows who I am.
It doesn't matter.
She's so depressed that she's about to shoot herself in the middle of the show. Somebody jars her arm, and this is still one of my favorite moments, fires off a round into the ceiling, and suddenly all of Buckaroo's band have pulled out guns and are pulling him off stage, Secret Service style.
And what was he thinking? He's trying to cheer her up, but he sings the saddest song he could possibly pull out of his oeuvre. However you say that.
Remember, no matter where you go,
there you are.
There you are.
Yes.
There you are.
Yeah. I would love to see them actually do the Buckaroo BANZAI band.
Yeah.
BANZAI band.
Yeah, no, God, are you kidding me? The especially with the like horn section, or I guess brass section, the brass.
Right.
Bye.
Right.
Right.
Bye.
That's just a jam.
Yeah.
I want to watch just the sequence where they bring up the band again, and like again, Jeff Goldblum was just like, oh, so we just go? All right, here we go.
Was he in the middle of some cowboy business when he got called to the adventure, or was he? Did
I think that he just thought that that's how he should dress.
That's his aesthetic, man.
Yeah,
he's like, we're doing this. I thought we were doing this cowboy thing, you know.
And then at one point, can you sing? No, but I can dance a little. Okay.
I say press play lots and often. Very entertaining, very funny. Best cast that you could possibly assemble for such a strange fucking screenplay. Good makeup effects for the budget. Just very you will not know it does have a little bit of grindhouse. The only grindhouse spirit that it does contain is the absolute feeling at any moment that you don't know what in the hell is going to happen next.
Yeah.
So but yeah, press play, see it as many times as you want, put it on in the background during parties, project it on the side of walls, turn it into your own squishy reality.
With a movie screen on it, and you are just playing movies all the time, like several of the places that I like to go to do. It's perfect for that.
This would look perfect on the screen at one of my favorite kind of like hangouts. It's a place called Ika in the Old Market.
Yeah.
They usually have anime running, but this would fit in just fine.
Oh God, yeah.
This is during sex.
Yeah, this I have to admit, this is definitely an ongoing.
Wait, I'm the sleaze expert, John. You don't get to say that. It's my job. Okay, Dave.
I picked it, so therefore you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to interrupt one more time. Can you imagine doing that, and then like you're in the middle, and then you hear, "It wasn't the big pink box," or
no matter where you are.
Monkey boy.
No matter where you are, you're there.
So, Dave, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Obviously, I suggested this film, so it's clearly a press play for me. But, you know, some films, every now and again, try to be cult films and they fall on their face. This film, I think, in a way, tried to be a cult film and did exactly what it intended to do.
It didn't want it too hard. It wanted it just enough.
I think it set itself a challenge to lose as many audience members as it possibly could at any given moment.
That is one way of doing art, man.
Yeah, like, because at that point, I mean, look at us. We're all hardcore
alienating people by like grossness or offensiveness, that kind of thing. But just like, no, whoever is here at the end, you guys belong are fucking troopers. You guys are troopers. Like, this isn't good, but I love that you're still here. Like, you're so open-minded. That's amazing. Like, you're the art now.
Yeah, we are the masterpiece. Because we're still here. It is good, by the way, but it's good in its own. It's on its own terms.
It's in its own. It's in its own world.
Yeah,
It's
Dave,
it's in the same category for me as like Time Bandits.
To me, I think part of I like the idea of what it was that Dan said of, you try to lose as many audience members as you can, and the people who are left over at the end, this is how you recognize who your tribe is. If all those people are there at the end of the film, clearly they share a lot of your personal dynamic.
Yeah, forget about the people making the movie. To pick all the people watching the movie, and then you turn around, suddenly most of the audience is gone, but the people who are left there, like, so you guys want to like go to the diner next door and just like chit chat?
It's like going to a showing of Rocky Horror Picture Show. Is the same thing,
Yep.
All of those people I could hang out with probably,
I want to see Kat dressed as Perfect Tommy. I think the Cat would totally own Perfect Tommy.
The blazer that I was actually going to put on over this is, hang on. I know I've made you all wait a lot, but just wait.
It's okay.
Wait.
Well, while they're there, maybe John could share his thoughts while they're.
Yeah, I definitely say press play. I pressed play many times and didn't know what was happening, but I still like it. It's still crazy. And, what happens around in that movie and the characters and everything else is kind of like what's dancing around in my head 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So I can identify with the film in that, it has the same genre as what's going on in my brain.
Yeah, with shake and bacon.
Oh, his hands float in the ether.
Yeah.
So
actually, what John said reminded me of something. There's a meme going around: take the blue pill, you pull a fictional character into our universe. Take the red pill, you go to your favorite fictional universe. If it were me, I would take the red pill and I would find myself in the BUCKAROO BANZAI universe because it's just fucking weird enough. I am in.
Cat also, the Mad Hat Cat does say press play on the Adventures of BUCKAROO BANZAI across the eighth dimension. I also really want to read the book now that is like a spiritual successor. I don't know if I didn't have enough time to look, but it has the same name, like that title that gets pulled up at the end. Watch for the next BUCKAROO BANZAI adventure against the World Crime League.
Right.
Bye.
Right.
Bye.
Right.
Bye.
That's just a jam.